Any veterans in here.
Okay,
Thank
say
you
your
for
name and
service.
we're ready.
You, young man, welcome home. Thank you for your service. My name is Robert Murphy. I'm taking a 4-year hiatus because I just didn't see any possibility of even getting any points the last 2 years. Some of you know me. I know some of you. But I'm going to hit on taking liberties with Mrs. Bison's flyer to just write some quick notes. I'm going to give you a comment on each one, and I'd be glad and happy if you ask questions, but when you ask a question, please be specific. The news, we don't have news in Northwest Macomb County anymore. The newspaper folded 6 years ago. There's a newspaper that you cannot find called The Record, and that news entails Armada and Rochester mostly. So I pick up the Sunday paper at the dollar store because it's $1. We don't have much money. And that's where I get a lot of the news. And last Sunday's paper had 45 bills being introduced. Most of those bills were nonsensical, didn't benefit anybody except a certain few. Roads and bridges. That's my son Bobby, he's my youngest. When we were in the Cub Scouts, very long time ago, Super Bowl 40, they put plywood, 3/4 inch plywood up on the bridges and the overpasses. They're still there. The roads, they're shit for. There's just no way to say anything else about it. And to build a road, you're supposed to build a road. It's not rocket scientry, it's a road. The environment, thank you for hitting on that Nestle thing. But 20 years ago when I started this thing, now I'd like to inform you that I've been a student of the politics for 50 of my 60 years. I've been involved in politics for almost 30 of my 60 years. But back when I first started getting involved, it was a $100 permit for all the water you can take out of Lake Michigan and inland. Healthcare. This is a good one. We can combine our VA benefits over there and let's give them to the elected officials and they will fix healthcare really fast. Education. This is a beauty. They're spending a lot of money on education, aren't they? But they're not spending it in a lot of places. When they're getting more money for education, any harebrained idea that's for the kids has a real good chance of getting approved and paid for. The latest jobs that people are getting hired for in the education field are not teachers. They're assistant superintendents, they're assistant vice principals, and the like. Other clerical support staff. Now that we need the clerical support staff, but not the positions they're given them. Internet. Your information's for sale. Why can't you get any money out of that? If they're going to pay 50 cents for your name on anything, whether you're filling out that, oh, I want to buy a car or whatever, if they're paying 50 cents, they should be able to give you 25 of that cents. They're making a lot of money off of your name. Subsidies and entitlements, that one's self-explanatory. VA care. Again, I would like very much to put, because I'm a veteran myself, and that was almost 40 years ago, and the only thing it's gotten is worse. It hasn't gotten any better. Veterans are dying, and people are making a lot of money at the veterans' expenses, mostly private industry. Guns. I believe in the Second Amendment. You better believe I do, but I don't see any place for bump stocks, military or attack style weapons. Nowhere. They shouldn't be anywhere. And if they are going to get something of that nature, they should go through such an extensive background check, such as psychological, that they may very well give up like that young man's family members may do. There's going to be a civil war in this country again, but it's not going to be North versus South. not East versus West, not California versus Texas. It's going to be your mothers against your fathers, your brothers against your sisters, your neighbors against each other, because they're just not smart enough to realize that we're being put in this position to argue and fight amongst ourselves. Pot. I don't see anything wrong with legalizing marijuana. We've got cigarettes, we've got booze, you got naked dancers downtown. You got a whole bunch of vices that should not be legal. Now, 4 years ago, when I was last in this thing, there was a little blurb. It wasn't even this big in the newspaper that the big pharma was in negotiations with the state senate to have it legalized for growing and distribution. They stood to make a lot of money, and they're going back on it again. Auto insurance. Hey, how about, the biggest con, one of the biggest scams going on in this country is the Michigan Catastrophic Fund. It is so overfunded, you don't know how much money's in there, real dollars. You don't know where it's going, because the money going in, the money coming out doesn't even equal the money going in. And there's private hedge fund managers out there that are reaping rewards. 3 committees I'd like to be on is the Veterans Affairs, I'd like to be on the Roads and Bridges, and I'd like to be on the Education Committee. I'll take questions. Yes.
I did look at that Michigan Catastrophic Claims Fund information recently. Now they're immune to the FOIA.
Yes, they are.
Their website says they've got $20 billion.
Tom, because your voice is low, either you need to have him let you speak in.
Hold on, here you go.
Yeah.
Take off.
According to the website, they've got $20 billion in there. Since they started, they've paid out like $1.6 billion for claims. So the next like 30 years or something like that. It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
The only person in Michigan privy to the information is the governor, and he's not giving anything away. Yes.
How do you think we should approach and deal with the 31% increase of suicide rates?
Repeat it.
That's my son. He's EMT working for paramedic. So this is a concern near and dear to his heart. He's discussing suicide prevention. Bobby, that's not a real easy one. There's a whole latitude of problems. There's health issues, but I think we have to control the internet. Social media can make a good guy like this into a piece of dirt that fast. And who's going to feel bad is this gentleman. I don't have an easy answer for you. Anybody else?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what district or position.
Oh, that's the 36th district. It's,
You running against Doug Lothian?
yes. Oh, yeah, when, 6 and up to 12 years ago, my opponents, I ran against him, I did very well. Pete, he just spent $1 million to beat me. I don't have money, I'm like no see, I don't have the money. But his Pete Lund wife is running too.
Who's in the job now?
Pete Lucido.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, his wife's
No, Pete Lund's wife. Apparently the pension he gets for having been a state representative for 6 years just isn't enough. Yes?
There's about a Second Amendment right for as well as background checks, and to me, I don't know. A lot of that can continue to go and building a database for domestic violence.
I agree. I think that needs to have animal abusers and child abusers on it as well.
Animal abusers and domestic assault.
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat all of that? Because I don't think the camera
Yeah.
picked it up.
If we get cross
the question.
conversations,
Go ahead.
Doesn't pick up.
Repeat yourself loudly.
Loudly. Come on up.
Come on. Come on up.
Okay, you brought up about for Second Amendment rights and gun control. Well, a great way to crack down on gun violence would be to build a database that's for people that are convicted of domestic assault and animal abuse. Because I can't cite the study specifically, but I know there's been a lot of studies that find a kind of correlation between domestic assault and domestic abuse charges and gun violence.
Thank you. See, I gave you a rough background. Thank you, Jeffrey. He's right. And we also have to get the guns out of the hands of the bad guys. That's just as important as any background check. Because anybody with a gun, not legally licensed, registered to carry or own a weapon is dangerous. Yes.
One of the things that you were talking about, the gun control, there is no reason in the world to have an automatic weapon because the only thing it is anti-personnel. So that's the only reason to make that weapon in the first place.
There is a couple of exceptions. Police, law enforcement, let's just make it broad. Law enforcement, some security details, some high profile. Yes, you do need it. They are needed. Are they necessary?
Not the average citizen.
No, of course not. I made that abundantly clear. I'm military. I have no need or use for an assault style rifle.
Okay,
All right, thank you.